Hi guys, this is Arif from TechShare. Today I'm going to show you a end-to-end payment integration. So for today I'm going to show you the PayPal integration. So I'm thinking I'm going to create two videos. So I already have created another video before where I showed you how can you integrate the Braintree payment system to your web application, and through that we can integrate the credit card or debit card integration. So today we are going to use PayPal, and PayPal integration is quite easy. So I'm going to show you start to end. Okay, so there are a couple of approach. So if we go to the next slide, then you will see. So first approach I'm going to show you today is using nodejs and React based application, but we're going to use JavaScript. Okay, so we will use the script reference and then we'll take from there. But another approach is, since we are using React, so we can also use the React component, like there would have some sort of package for PayPal, and we will download that, install that to the solution, and we'll take from there, and that would be easier. But just let's use the first approach for now. Okay, so obviously any payment system is something integrated with couple of systems. So first of all, you would have your own backend system, and then you will have different client applications. And from the client application, for example, if you wanna do any transaction through different payment gateway, then the ideal approach is your client will communicate to your backend system, and backend will communicate to any third-party payment provider to do all the necessary transactions and everything. Okay, now enough talking. So let's jump into the solution here. Okay, I'm going to share this repository to you guys in the description, so just grab this one. So first of all, I'll create a small backend application, and then I'll create a small React based application, and then I'll use the PayPal recommended API or whatever, and I'll integrate, and I'll see how actually transaction works. So I'll do a sort of demo after the implementation. Okay, so let me create. So I already have created a small backend. So let me do from the scratch. So what I'll do is, first of all, I'll create a new file. So let me name this one as PayPal backend server.js, for example. Okay, so as you see, this is a nodejs application. So nodejs application is nothing but a JavaScript file, and then you can literally create as many file as you want, functions, class, and everything. And I really am now really I really like Node now. So if previously anybody asked me that what is your favorite backend platform, I would probably say to them that Microsoft .NET platform. But now I'll go with this nodejs, because this is really simple, really easy. So let me just show you how easy it is. So first of all, what I need to do, I need to install a couple of packages. So first of all, I need to install npm install Express. What is Express? Express is the server itself. So when you are going to create your own API, and you are going to support different method like HTTP, post, get, and everything, right? So obviously you need some sort of server. So Express is a built-in I would say very robust and very easy to use server. You can use that, and you can create your own endpoint, or you can say APIs through that. So we'll do that. So you need to install the npm install, and then you need to install Express, that you will do, and then also need to install request, I guess. Yes, and then that's all. So let's create a very small backend now. Why I'm creating my backend? Because the idea is, from the front end we will have our PayPal button, and there will be some sort of amount, and then once you click that button, the idea is we are going to do a transaction using that amount, so that PayPal can reserve that amount for me. okay, my account actually. So that will do. That is basically the integration. Okay, so let me do this. So we are gonna require express, right? This is the number one. Okay, number two, what we are gonna do is we are gonna create an application using express. That's all. Okay, then we also need a port say 8000. Okay, awesome. Then we need to listen port 8000, and there would be a callback function here, and then here we can say console.log server is running on port 8000. Okay, now look, so this is a continuous listener, so that means application will not going away from the application, so application will keep live. So what you need to also do is to handle the different request, like whether the request is a get request or post request or put request or delete request. So for that we need a root or kind of thing. So just imagine that all the requests or endpoints, so we will have our different endpoints somewhere. So the I guess I mean you can do in many ways, but the easiest way I find is this. So let me create a roots like this, and then let me define a function here. That function will accept my express application, and what this function will do is this function will give us the endpoints. So how we can do that is simple like this, app dot. So here what we are gonna do is we'll define all the function here, like app.get, right? So get, you need to provide the path here. So for example, this is my test endpoint. Okay, and then here, this is important, here this app this callback function will take a request and a response. Okay, like this. Sorry, this is a different syntax, so need to use this way. Okay, so now interestingly, this node is like all about async. So why don't we get that? Of course we get that. So we can use this async callback function here, and then what we are gonna do is we need to test first, right? So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, response.send, send me a response with this object. So for example, data equal to, this is my test endpoint, for example. Okay, and now this roots is like, you know, we define a function and then we need to use that roots. So what we are gonna do now is roots, and we'll simply call that. That's all. So this way what is happening is we actually create a very small our API, and the endpoint is only now test endpoints, and it is actually returning as JSON data and the simple text message. Okay, so let's test this one, right? So for that, what we need to do simply is node, and then we need to type the JavaScript file, so backend server. Okay, so you can see the server is running on port 8000. Let's test this one. So for that, what you can do is you can use your Postman, obviously. So this is our app.get, so you need to use the get, and then the endpoint is http localhost 8000 port, and then test endpoint, right? And then we will press that on, and then you can see the response we are getting successfully. This is a test endpoint, means my API is working. So I have just created a little API. So the idea is here I'm gonna create two endpoints. So let's jump into the PayPal documentation and see what we get from there. So every time, this is actually the ideal thing. So every time if you want to develop anything, then ideal place would be the provider itself. So right now we have the provider PayPal, so we'll follow everything from there. That is the easiest way. Now awesome, so PayPal already recommended many things in many ways, but what we did already is that endpoint, right? So we need to create two endpoint basically. Number one is it says that create payment endpoint, and another one is execute payment. The idea is when you press that button, then create payment endpoint will be called, and create endpoint will do some sort of transaction, or you can say pre-authorization, so that will actually reserve the money. And then once or finally when we call, or the API, the PayPal API itself calls the other endpoint, execute payment, and that time the payment will be you say confirm, right? It's the kind of two-way handshaking kind of mechanism. Okay, so for that, what we will do simply is we will copy paste everything. So we already have the endpoint, so we need to rename the endpoint to, for example, create endpoint, and this is a post. So let's do that. Let's just do post, and then we say here create endpoint, create payment, right? Okay, the create payment, this body, what we will do, we'll copy paste everything from this website, and then we'll understand later on what's going to how it actually works. So we'll do that later on. So just copy until I guess here, yeah, I think this is a place. Copy paste it here, right? So now couple of things. So it says user password, right? So the idea is you are going to do your PayPal integration. So obviously you need your account there in the PayPal, so that you can do the transaction or people can send the money to your account. So that's the idea. So for that you need to create your credential, user ID, password there in the PayPal, and then you also need to enable the sandbox, or you can say the testing environment there in PayPal. That way PayPal will give you some data, or you can say some credentials, and we need to use that on here so that we can test it. And then once everything will be working fine, then what we are gonna do is we'll move to the production environments. Means the sandbox, user ID, password, there should be another set of credentials for production, and we will use that one straight away, and then that way that would be live, right? So that is the idea. Okay, so now for that, so what you need to do, you need to go to developer portal PayPal. So I have already created my, because I already have PayPal account. So what I needed simply to create, or you can say enable the sandbox, and that I did, and I got my credentials here. So I'll do that now. So what I'm gonna do is okay, so that should be this one. Let me grab the sandbox. Okay, so you can see here I did actually made couple of transactions, sandbox transaction, or you can say test transactions. So you'll see that record here. So we'll also verify that on later on. So what I need to do now is we need to grab this app and credential section. You need to go there, and then you need to create your app first. So once you enable the sandbox, then you would see only this default application. Then you might need your own application. So that way you need to first create app, and you need to just press this button, and then you need to just fill something, and then you will end up having this kind of application. You need to go there, and this is the sandbox account and client ID. So what I need to do is I need to copy the client ID, and then the client should be your client ID. Okay, so better we are gonna use this information, or you can say credential, into endpoint. So we will define it globally. So for that, what we will do is from there they already have defined globally. So I'll copy this 3, and then here. Okay, so what I can do is, this inside the root I can define this one. Okay, so let me just align a bit. It looks a bit ugly. Okay, so let me do that quickly. Okay, so now the client I'll copy from my client. So this is there. So now I need to paste it here, and then I also need secret. So secret is that copy, and we need to paste it here as well. paste it. So I have the client and secret, and this is the endpoint, PayPal endpoint, so that should be, you know, as it is. So create endpoint is completed. So we also need to define our own. Okay, so it looks like something is missing here. So that's the one, and then okay, so let me paste it here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is, let me copy one more time, and this time that would be, I guess, the yeah, okay, see, yeah, that's right, paste it here. And what I'll also do is, I'll just put a tab here so that it looks a bit aligned, although it is not aligned, but anyway. So now this endpoint has done. So I have the create payment, so we just copy paste from there, and we'll understand later on. And then we also need another endpoint called execute payment. So let's do that quickly. So we are not going to follow their approach because they have the different way of, you know, initializing the Express server and everything. We are not going to. We will simply create our own way. So I did the first one. So let me create another endpoint here. So we say app.post, and that would be our what is the name, execute payment, and obviously it has a callback with async, and then it will have request and response as well, and then that's all. So here we're gonna copy quickly from here to I guess here, copy and then paste it here. Okay, I don't see any error or anything, so hopefully it works. It will be working, no worry. Okay, and I'll do little bit align, so I'll just simply here to here, I'll just put a tab, that's all. Okay, now try to understand what is going on here. Okay, so our app server is done. So server side means now this server, this small server, this nodejs based small server is ready to handle all the transaction, especially for PayPal. Okay, so what it has is basically, if you see the create payment, right? So we need to clarify this one a bit. So it is calling the PayPal endpoint here, and obviously this client ID and secret is there, means it will understand that who is actually owning this credential, and based on that information PayPal is going to do all the necessary transaction. So here it has also different things. So what it has a body object inside the body. So this is kind of a syntax, you need to use the same thing. Okay, this is kind of a grammar defined by PayPal, so you need to also pass this kind of object, otherwise it will not work. So there is the intent. So my intent is to do a sell, means a transaction, and then you have the different parameter. Pair is PayPal, and then okay, very important is this amount and currency. How it will come, because we are not going to send this information here, right? In the parameter, you can say in the request body, we are not going to send that. So how we are going to collect the amount? So you need to collect the amount from the backend system. Means, for example, in the front end, you are doing some sort of transaction, or you can say you have a cart or e-commerce system where user might have created their own cart or something, but definitely the cart also is present in the backend system, means in the database or somewhere, right? So that way, what you need to do, you need to grab that. You have the session already, the request session, so you can maintain that, and from there you can take the amount or everything that you need. So you need to maintain the state and everything for that transaction, or you can say the application, and then you can grab the data from there. So the data right now we are going to use this 5.99, and then this is a currency USD, for example. Okay, and then you can also provide this return URL and cancel URL in case if you want to return to a certain endpoint. For example, if you want to end of in your client side there would be some sort of confirmation page, so maybe you like to redirect there, so you can use that. So you can provide this information here, and if any chance or by chance or any accidentally or whatever, if user tries to cancel the transaction, then where are you actually going to land, so you can also define that client endpoint, or you can say the URL there as well. So this is quite self-explanatory and quite easy, this create payment. On the other hand, if you see this execute payment, right? So execute payment does what? So first of all, it says get the payment ID and pair ID from the request body. Okay, so once you do that, right, so once you do the create payment, then this PayPal will give you some sort of response to your client system. So you just need to take that, and you can actually from there PayPal will give you the payment ID and pair ID, because you are providing this client ID and secret, so it's kind of user ID and password, and from there PayPal can know or will know that okay, who is this user, and based on that PayPal will provide to the client about the payment ID and pair ID. And the next call, PayPal will make execute payment to you, or if you want to make by yourself, then what you need to do, you need to grab the payment ID and pair ID from the above response, and then you need to call this one, and then it actually does is basically confirming the amount. That's all. So you also need to provide the client ID secret, and in the body you see the pair ID and the amount and everything. So yeah, that's the thing. So now let me adjust the thing. So it has 5.99, so let me do the 5.99 as well, like this. And let me just we can actually run this application in Postman. I can show you how actually it works, but let's just create another application, small React based application, and we'll just put a button there. That's all. So we're not going to implement a very nice or fancy thing. We'll simply put a button, and from there we'll test whether this is working or not. So for that, what we are going to do is we'll just let's go this directory. I have the sample backend application here. Let me create a sample app, for example, or you can say sample PayPal, or you can say PayPal integration simply. Okay, so here let me copy this directory, and let's go jump into here and cd. I need to go there. Okay, I'm now PayPal integration, and then we'll create a small application, React application here. Sorry, React app. So it's gonna take a time. So I'll actually jump into. All right, so I can see that all the installation and everything has done. So let me just jump into the let me see how many directories. Okay, so we need to go cd PayPal integration app, and then here we need to open another Visual Studio, right? So this is my application, React application, I have just created, right? Okay, now what I'm gonna do is this application is my sample backend. So I'll go here and I'll run this one. So for that, node and then backend server. So this is working fine. So we just put this one aside, and now this is my client application. So from the client application, what we are gonna do is pretty easily is this is the app, right? So let me just create a folder here quickly and say components. Okay, and there we are going to create a file, or you can say component, saying PayPal.js, for example, right? And then what you are going to do is functional based component you are going to create here. The name is PayPal component. Let's do like this way, and here we are gonna put like PayPal integration. Okay, and then here in the app, right? So in the app, what we are gonna do, we are gonna import this one. Import PayPal component from PayPal. Awesome. And then here this header section, I don't need this one. What I'm gonna do here, I'll just put this PayPal component, and then we'll just simply run. So for that, what we are gonna do is we will say npm start. So this application, so I did not do anything yet, so we've just created a sample application, React application, and we've already put a small component there saying PayPal integration. So we are gonna put a button there simply. Okay, now let me go here, this PayPal component. Let me do here something. So just go to the implementation side here, and then what we are gonna do is we did the server side implementation already. Now we will jump into the client side application. What they did is they have the script reference. So let's copy this script reference here, and then what we are gonna do is we will put it here in the index file. So in the index file, just above the body in tag, we are gonna add this script reference here, number 1. Number 2, we are gonna do is, it says the div. Okay, so just put the div here, here for example, and then we have this script. Inside the script we have this function. So we cannot directly copy paste here because this is a React application, right? So we are gonna do a little bit trick here. So what we are gonna do is we will use another use effect. So we are gonna use another component, use effect, and in the use effect, what we are gonna do is we are gonna use effect here, and then here we are gonna define. So use effect, you understand what is use effect, right? So use effect is kind of your payment component did mount kind of thing. So in the function based application, so there is no place for that lifecycle event, right? So that's why use effect kicks in. So this is really important to understand everything. So in the use effect, what we are gonna do is we are going to do this one. So for that, let's do this. Let's copy and paste it until this point. Copy and paste. Now the problem is there is no such thing called PayPal. So when we use the, or you can say inject the JavaScript file to the HTML index.html kind of inside the DOM, then everything can be found inside the window. So what we are gonna do is we just put this window.PayPal. Okay, then save this one. So you can see here there is no error so far. So far it looks good. So we have the environment sandbox, and then it has something, right? So in the payment section, it says that okay, so they are gonna call this create payment, and they also gonna call on the authorization event, or you can say method, they are calling this execute payment. So we need to adjust this one based on our implementation. So we'll do http localhost 8000 / we have the create payment, right? And then we'll copy this one and we'll paste it here, and the other payment provider endpoint name is what is the name, execute payment. So let's copy the execute payment here and paste it here, save it. So we have the localhost. So I have my own kind of endpoint. So let me go here, jump into our application. You can see straight away that it has, let me go to F12 so that if we see any error, then we'll see here, right? So now we can see the PayPal checkout button is already there. So just think of a scenario where you have your own application, e-commerce application, or any sort of application that you are going to do some sort of sell by PayPal. So you can do is you can put the button there, and then what you need to do, this script. So you need to copy paste that one, and you can put it in use effect or initialization of the application of that certain page or component. And then let's click the button and let's go to the network tab and see how it works. So maybe if the first try it might not work, then we'll do some sort of adjustment and we'll see. So when I press that button, then you can see automatically this window is popping up. So this is kind of my or you can say our PayPal actually bringing all the information for us. So it's still pending. So create payment, so it's trying to call HTTP localhost create payment, and it is still pending, means something is not working perfectly here. So let me go here, you can see here, so it is actually throwing some sort of exception here, and we need to figure out why. Okay, so what's happening is, so you can see here, so my application running on localhost 3000, right? But my nodejs application is running localhost 8000, so that's why it's not gonna work, because there is the cross origin thing. So we need to resolve the cross origin. I also show you how can you resolve that one. Okay, just bear with me. Awesome. So now what we found is, let me repeat one more time, is this localhost 3000 is not working because there is the cross origin resource sharing course issue, means cross origin resource sharing. So when there is the cross origin, then this is kind of, you need to handle in the backend side system that, okay, if any origin other than this origin comes to the system in the backend API, then how you are actually going to approach. So you need to do that, you need to handle that here. So what we are going to do here is, every request, when we are going to process that here through the express, then we'll do a kind of, we'll actually go first here. Let me copy paste this one. So see what I did is, so we have the app, so we'll tell that, hey express, every time you are going to execute any request, can you also do this thing for me? So what you will do is, you will first, so this is kind of the first task. So in the response header, can you please add this one, access control allow origin. In the response header also, can you also please add this one and also this one. Okay, and then you actually go to your next request, means whatever the request you are actually executing through the client, whatever the request the client is requesting, that will be triggered at this point here. Okay, so that's all. Save it, and then hopefully the see, I am explicitly defining this one, HTTP localhost 3000, meaning we are actually allowing this host or this origin, and then if any request coming for that, or actually for all the request, we are actually, in the response header, we are adding this allow origin for that one only. So if you are for example, if you are gonna use another client with localhost 5000, that is not gonna work with this, right? So you have to explicitly handle that one. So what I'm gonna do now is just start it again. Okay, refresh, clean. Awesome, you can see the okay, means it is working now. So now we need to use the credential, the sandbox credential. So if you create your sandbox, enable your sandbox, then PayPal will also give you the sandbox user password. I'll show you. So now login, then you'll see that it's successfully logged in, and it goes to the sandbox.paypal.com. see here, and this is the amount we are going to transaction, we are going to make the transaction here, and then on continue means, yeah, it will proceed, and it will give you so it will now execute payment. It is calling the execute payment, you can see here, and there, if everything goes successful, then you will see a success response from there. Let's see, probably execute payment is not working somehow. Let me do that, let me check. Yeah, so execute payment is rejecting. Okay, I understand. So if you want to pass the data through the body, right, so we also need to handle that in the nodejs application by default doesn't handle any data, or you can say it simply just don't accept any data if you pass the data through the body, request body. So you need to actually add that module to the node, and you need to explicitly tell node, or I can say express application, that hey, the client also want to send some data through the body. So for that, what you need to do is, you need to, okay, let me grab something here. So for that, we also need this thing, body parser. Yes, So we need to use the body parser. So for that we need to install first the body parser. So let's install npm install body parser. Okay, and then we need to require body parser, and then you need to tell that you need to also tell that, hey, use my body parser like this way. So app.use body parser.json, something like this. So you need to tell here, maybe it's fine. So you can say application express application please use body parser. Now save this one. Sorry, why I'm installing again. Run the node backend, and then refresh now, and then let me see what we get now. Okay, hopefully this time it should be fine. Okay, I can see it is working fine, because the execute payment gives you the OK response, means status success. So the payment has successfully deducted. How you are gonna know that? If you see the last transaction time, then you probably see that. So let me jump into my PayPal account, and then I'll verify the transaction. So in the API call, so it is around 11:04. So we will see. Okay, what it says, note that all features are available for live transaction. Okay, so it is only available for live transaction. So unfortunately I cannot show you guys, but yeah, it should work. Yeah, here you go. So you can see here, so we are having the transaction, the call date time, probably they are using UTC, so that's why I'm not getting the exact my local time, but yeah, so we have the status here. So let me do another one, then we will understand. So right now we have this 6:04, I have 11:04, so we have the UTC time here, 5 hours probably behind. We are actually 5 hours ahead, so that's why you'll see here. This is actually the transaction. So another thing we can do is we can put a alert button here, for example. In the client side, this is my client. Here, this is the success. We can say we can either redirect to other component. We can show a certain component or a certain message. Even we can actually show a sort of alert just to test payment got successful, right? And then we can do another transaction, another go, click, so you can see the transaction amount. See, this is the alert, successful, payment got successful, and I'm pretty sure you will see here. So let me refresh this page, and you will see already refreshed, it got refreshed. No, let me see the refresh. Okay, now see, so 6:40, so now is 7, so it just got this transaction. Previously it was this transaction. So okay, now so transaction is working fine. So it means my PayPal integration has done. So what we did basically is we have this small backend application. Here we have created a small web application, web API actually, and then we had to use different things. So first of all, we needed to install the express, then request as well, because we are using this request because the request is using, or the sample provided by PayPal, they are using request. So we also needed to install the request. And then body parser, why we needed that? Because we are going to pass the data from client to server, and that's why you need to install this one. Otherwise the nodejs application will not by default or out of the box will actually not nodejs, sorry, beg my pardon, that should be the express is not going to count your your body data. So that's why we needed that one as well. And then the other thing we also needed is because this we also needed to bypass the client origin. So that's why we also needed this thing. And I'm gonna share everything to you guys. I will put the repository link in the description so that you can get it from there. And this is actually your backend API, and this is your front end small application. But the approach is I straight away use the kind of there is no component approach. So no component approach means there I did not use any PayPal component from the node, or you can say React based component. I did not use that, so I simply use the HTML and JavaScript. So here I use the reference, and this is kind of a vanilla approach where you are using the JavaScript basically. But the next example I will show you guys how easy it is if you just install a package, a PayPal package and React component, and then that would really be easy. So I'll show you that one in the next video. Hopefully you will like this one, and if you really like this one, then give me a thumbs up and also subscribe my channel. And if you have any question, then just ask me. Feel free to put any comments in the comment section. I'll be really happy to answer those questions. Okay, then see you very soon in the next video. Bye bye, have a good night.